the other guys, the other engineers who are here, they've learned a lot, and we just thank you for that. I think without wasting any time, I'd like to invite Peter to have a session. So tukaribishe. As I start, I want to make a statement. And I really hope it resonates with you. I want to tell you I love you. I really, really love you. I love you for 3 reasons. The first reason being that you were me 15 to 16 years ago. The second reason being that you are me now, which is Kisheru. And the third reason is because you are who I hope to be, who is Engineer Joel. Sitting here 10, 20 years to come, giving an address in a place like this. And I say that because I'm sensitive of the fact that some of you may never have heard those words said to you. I know you look like you're but some of you have never heard those words. And I'll say that for a fact because I know my father died in 1986. When I was a young boy, I never heard a person, a grown man tell me that he loved me until Pastor Simon Bevy came to our church 3 or 4 months ago. I had never heard. And the first thing that I want to tell you is that you are a human being to start with before you're an engineer. You're a human being. Remember that. If you remember nothing else from what I told you, remember that I said I love you. And I meant it. I will explain to you my story over 3... I'll give you 3 stories about me, what happened, how I got from JQR to where I'm standing right now. And in this way, I hope to teach or explain to you 3 things. The first point I want you to get is what you need to do between now and the time you graduate. The second thing is how you're going to intersect with your community as an engineer. And the third thing is what you need to grow, as I found out. I will leave the area of having an impact in your workplace to Kisheru. He's much more experienced in that, and he has terrific stories to tell of what he has done himself to have an impact where he works. So those years ago when I told you that the SEC was brand new, I was sitting right here and I was listening to people from PricewaterhouseCoopers come to us for accountants. And it's amazing because you'd think they'd want accountants from somewhere that has BCom, because we didn't have BCom at that time. This was a pure science school. And I was amazed that they'd come and look for people like that here, until I understood the thought process behind what they do. What they're looking for is not an accountant. They're looking for a way of thinking. That is what engineering is. If you get nothing else from this course, it's the way of thinking, the structured approach to issues, that this follows this, follows this, follows this, follows this. And that is why Vision 2030 cannot happen if they do not have engineers among them, because engineers put structure to things. Engineers make principles applicable in day-to-day lives. And that's what you find with Engineer Joel, that he turned what he was taught in civil engineering into a road that people can use on a daily basis. So when I was here, when I came, I remember I sat right there in that corner. And when I was in university, I was an interesting character. For I think 3 or 4 years, the final 3 or 4 years of my university, I think no, all 5 years, I did not wear anything apart from shorts and akalas. Seems funny now, but when I think about it, I'm glad my wife did not come to this particular university. If she had, I honestly doubt that she'd have agreed about the proposal. They've had a lot of very different challenges. And that's the first thing I was learning about. How do you transition from university into the professional world? You have to start turning into a professional now. If I had gone looking for a job dressed like that, there's no way I'd be employed. So there are some things about you that are going to have to start changing, especially if you're in the final years of your university. It's about the way you dress. It's going to be about the way you speak. It's going to be about the way you relate with other people. And I keep insisting that one of the things you're going to have to learn as an engineer is how to simplify engineering into a language that everybody can understand. There's nothing brilliant about you coming and speaking long words and unleashing long formulas that fill the whole board if people don't understand what you're saying. You have to turn that into something that people can relate with. Now, Engineer Joel was extremely good at that. He told us stories. A story that tells you how this road came to be built. A story that told you how he related with this. A story that told you about how he sits down in committees. Not once did he talk about a formula. But every one of us understands what he does. The issue about you being brilliant was settled when you were accepted into JKUAT. That's settled. There's nothing else to prove. Even if you come and tell me how much you know and you bring me all your notes from class, you're smart. But the really brilliant guys among you are the ones who will learn how to translate that into something that your own grandmother can absorb about mechanical engineering. That one thing you know about in electrical engineering. If you can simplify it till your 6-year-old son understands what it is, then you know about engineering. So what would I do if I were you? I would develop my public speaking skills. Your ability to go in front of an audience and speak fluently in a way people can understand. I have nothing against Sheng. I think Sheng is an innovative language. I think it's wonderful. I think it's fantastic. I think it's everything about Kenya. But Sheng is very localized. It's localized to your own estate, to your own friends. The Sheng you speak here in Nairobi might be unintelligible to someone in Kisumu. So you're going to have to learn to express yourself in a language that can be understood by other people and not resent people for saying, I want to hear you speak in English or Swahili fluently. How would I do that? Practice. What can you do now? Start a Toastmasters club. What is Toastmasters? Research, find out. Email them. I'll tell you what Toastmasters is. Because once you get to that place where you can confidently present yourself to an audience and tell a compelling story, then the world opens up for you because people understand you, know what you're about, and know where to place you. Next thing I'll do is aggressively network. I am so honored to be in the same room with the chairman of the Kenya Roads Board. You don't know how much of a privilege that is to me. I have never been in the same room with him before, and I'm hopeful that I'll be a part of your network. And the only way I can be a part of your network is if I prove useful to you. If I'm going to attach Amrija here to Engineer Wanyoike and say, now let me see where I can attach a syringe to draw blood from you, do you think he'll want to network with me? It's not about sucking blood life out of him. Of course, he'll get rid of me. He has enough relatives and friends who do that. If I'm going to join the rest of the people to come and now line up at Engineer Wanyoike's door for a handout, there's no way. So you need to find something that you can do for him. Not him what he can do for you. What can you do? How can you make yourself useful? How can you be the one who is useful at his car? When he's coming from, I don't know where he is and he's coming to teach, who carries those notes of him? It looks like sucking up, but it will get you places. Carry his notes. I am serious, I am not joking. Because if you are that person, he'll be proud to have you in his network and he will hook you up. Hiya. The other thing is just to build on what I was saying, in terms of etiquette, in terms of the relationships with other people, you need to graduate from the casual relationships you have right now, even among each other. Because the reality is, my friends are now very senior in their architectural firms. We all looked like this 15 years ago. But if you do not start seeing your friends for the potential they have, and you expect that kind of casual relationship to prevail 10 to 15 years, you're wrong. So there's a way you're going to have to start relating with each other that is professional. Again, I said, if you don't know how to do that, start a Toastmasters club. The other thing is about joining the job market. My first engineering job was in Moroni Sugar Company. How many of you have you heard about that company? I joined as a trainee engineer, and it was a very interesting experience. Because I did not know how to manage people. I knew about engineering principles. No one ever taught us to manage. No one ever taught me how to manage 30 or 40 people that you've been given in a shift of different levels and how to manage them, how to interact with them. And the first thought I had was to go and become one like them. Look like them, talk like them. It doesn't work. I can assure you from now. It doesn't work. You're going to have to look different. You're going to have to talk different. And the only way you can do that is if you have your own self-esteem, that you know your own value as an individual and as an engineer. You have to know your own value. It's about how you dress. It's about how you speak. It's about where you relate, what you do in your spare time. And you need to be very conscious about that. So my first few months were a disaster in Moroni Sugar. I wore an overall like one of the fitters. I was dirty. I'd get into the boilers to sweep out the things. I thought I was relating with my people. Making them feel, I feel them. There's nothing like that, man. You're going to have to point and say, listen, you get up, do that. And not asking. Hey, no way, there's no time for that. You have to be the authority. And that's why I said some of these things have to start here. You can't hope that the job market is going to provide that for you. And the third and most important thing that I learned is about the issue of mentorship. This is not a mentorship meeting. I know it sounds like that, and I know it's supposed to be. But there's very little mentorship that can happen between 3 people or 4 people or 5 people and 90 people over 2 hours. That can't happen. Like mentorship is walking side by side of 2 people interested. And engineering Wanyoke wanted something very, very important. And I want you to take note of that. A good student makes a good teacher. A good student makes a good teacher. It is what you do as the mentee that will bring out the best in the mentor. It is not my ability as a mentor that determines about that relationship. It is what you do, what you invest into this relationship that proves and gives out the best for you. So you can't sit back and hope Engineer Wanyoke, out of his busy schedule, will scroll down and remember, Jerry, Jerry, let me call Jerry and find out how she's doing. It won't happen. It is you to structure it, you to follow it up. And my story about this would be about someone who I met in Moroni Sugar. And his name was Bright Wibo. Bright Wibo was a very interesting guy. He came from Zoya Sugar. And Bright Wibo came to me at that time. He came to Moroni Sugar at that time when I was wearing the dirty overalls and really looking like a worker, just one of the workers who work there. He never told me apart from anyone else. And when Wibo came in and he was sharp, he was intelligent, he was articulate. Wibo didn't negotiate with individuals. But Wibo knew his stuff. He knew the engineering. And Wibo could translate the inner workings of an electrical pump to a person in the loop, till a person understands that this thing, I want you to do this with the flywheel and this and this, and this is what I want you to do with it. All of it in the loop. And because he was present at every time, because he was someone that you can relate with, I found him to be an excellent mentor for me. And Bright Wibo is a person who allowed me to translate the grinding of sugar into something that I can explain to my wife today, how a roller mill works. But it took a lot of time and a lot of dedication to get the best out of Bright Wibo, because the problem many times for mentors is that they don't last forever, they're not available indefinitely. Bright Wibo passed on 3 years after I met him. And if I had not been careful to develop a relationship like that, I don't know what would have happened to me. So I've shared with you those 3 stories. I hope they're important to you as they are to me. Number 1, I've mentioned that you need to start working on yourself right now in terms of professional development and how you present and articulate yourselves. Number two,